The market is completely mispricing Bitcoin and what's about to happen next under the new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh. In the 1940s, with America reindustrializing, we saw real GDP growth over 5% for the first time in history. But what if I told you we could triple that?
We should be at 15%. I'll tell you, if our new head of the Fed, who I think is going to be great, and he's a really high quality person, but if he does the job that he's capable, we can grow at 15%. I think more than that.
If we see 15% GDP growth, combined with the Truflation CPI index at under 1% right now, we could see real GDP growth over 10%. Freight volumes right now are exploding, which are a leading economic indicator of massive economic booms. Futures are only predicting 2 rate cuts of 25 basis points between now and 2028. Which is way too low considering Trump saying that we're going to cut, the new Fed chair saying that we're going to cut, and inflation being under control. Oh yeah, and Kevin Warsh is saying that they're going to end the agreement that the Fed and the Treasury have had together since 1951. You aren't bullish enough. He's laid out his plans for what he's going to do. The greatest investor of all time says that the market is mispricing him as a hawkish Fed chair. This is your opportunity with Bitcoin. Markets are pricing in rate cuts and they're looking at Bitcoin as a tech stock. You might not see a setup like this for a long time. We're transitioning to a new economic regime and Bitcoin is going to be at the center of it. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. We got a lot to get to today. Let's go. Not sure when people are gonna realize that Coinbase will always rug pull you. Welcome back from a Super Bowl where the field goal kicker was in contention to be the MVP until the very end. And for the first time in history, during the halftime show, Americans everywhere understood exactly what it felt like to be Joe Biden during his presidency. And while you were trying to figure out the names of just one of Bad Bunny's songs, a lot of important things were happening beyond football. Like our new Fed chair calling for a new accord to be struck between the Fed and the Treasury, between him and Scott Bessent. This is a monumental shift. The role of the Fed would decrease and the role of the Treasury would increase. Kevin Warsh shared exactly what he would do as the new Fed chair in an interview on A Letter in a Day. He said there would be less talking, less dot plots, less forecasting, and the Fed would focus on what their role is with inflation. Get out of the way, help the real economy, and help real Americans, and the financial markets will take care of themselves. They want to put market making back into the hands of the Treasury and Scott Bessent, and this is why the market structure bill is important. Stablecoins and digital assets will give Scott Bessent an entirely new set of tools in order to manipulate markets and to reduce the United States' reliance on foreign countries buying United States treasuries. And like many Americans, on Sunday after watching that Coinbase ad, he had a backhanded way of pointing the middle finger at Coinbase, saying that they're the main reason as to why the structure bill hasn't been passed yet.
Quick on this crypto legislation that seems to be hung up in the Senate. Secretary, do you expect that the Clarity Act will in fact come back for a markup? And why are we having a debate about bank margins? Where do you stand on this? Do you think crypto platforms should be able to pay rewards, pay customers for moving stablecoin or money out of traditional bank deposit accounts and keep them on crypto platforms? Where are you on that issue?
Again, Maria, I think what we're seeing in the crypto market over the past few months means more than ever that the U.S., we need market structure, we need clarity, and we need to get this across the line this spring. We got a few recalcitrant actors who said, well, it'd be better to have no legislation than the legislation we don't want. And I think both on the banks, the other crypto firms are united against them. So we need to get this across the line. The U.S., under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. is becoming the crypto capital of the world with our best practices, best regulation. And for crypto to remain a viable digital asset and move forward, we need to get this Clarity Act done.
So you think it'll come back fairly soon then?
I'm optimistic, and there's bipartisan support here.
At the end of every empire, going back to Rome, the way that governments get rid of their debt is to try to tax you more, which doesn't work because people revolt, or they devalue their currency. This is the price of the value of silver over 400 years during the Roman Empire. This administration sees this coming, and so they're trying to create a new system before the collapse of America. Uncle Larry tells us exactly what's going to happen at the late stages of the game here in America, and why he's positioning himself into assets like Bitcoin to avoid this avalanche that's coming our way.
You know, at some point, fiat currency is going to fail, in my belief, in my opinion. So which snowflake is going to cause the avalanche to break loose and have it fail? I don't know. But there's no do-over. You know what I mean? You don't get to say, oh, I'm sorry. I kind of wish I wish I'd gotten out of the way before that avalanche, broke loose and came down and smothered me.
What does that look like, Larry? Like when fiat fails? Because I feel like that is ugly.
It is ugly.
People,
it is ugly.
I'm assuming you've heard of the book Mandibles.
It's in the book.
Right? There we go.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Well, I hope so. It looks a lot of different ways, Nico, and it doesn't.
And what makes you so confident it's going to happen?
Well, I'm confident it's going to happen because of the math and because this is a superior technology and because more and more humans are adopting it, and people always gravitate towards the best solution. And we've now got 15 years of evidence that it's the best, 16 years of evidence that it's the best solution. But in terms of the how it happens, it doesn't have to be Mandibles. I don't think it will be. It'll take a bit longer. It can be more gradual, which is in a funny way, we want it to go up faster, but in a funny way, it's a good thing. If we get more people on board, give more people time to adapt. The second thing is, as I talk about in the book, this doesn't have to be a brutal, total collapse. We can do a currency reset, okay? Mm-hmm. This has been done before. Roosevelt did it in 1933. I mean, we can basically transition back to a sound money currency. The problem with America today is that the money is unsound and the money is broken, title of Ledn's book. And therefore, the solution is to just go back to a sound money system. And there have been lots and lots of societies throughout the world that have had broken money. And what happens, what you see when you study them and read about them, is when they go back to sound money, they get better. Everything gets fixed, especially if we don't have a major war. If we can avoid having a major war, all that's broken here is the money. And so, now don't get me wrong. When I'm describing a curse, there will be winners and losers. The people who don't have sound money will lose on a relative basis. The people who have a lot of unsound money stored in bonds, they're going to get creamed. They're just going to, but that's unavoidable. That's just the way that, because the bonds and the commitments that have been made, they're not money good. They're not, the values are fake. Just like in real estate right now, I think some of these very high-end real estate prices, they're just fake. Yeah. People are hiding in real estate thinking that'll protect them from inflation. But, do you really need a $20 million house or a $10 million house or a $5 million house?
It's ridiculous.
It's shelter.
It's ridiculous.
It's shelter.
And it's really stolen my generaration to
Well,
buy
that's
home.
right.
It's been
that's
just
exactly
complete, flat-out theft.
Yes.
And the frustration. I have friends who are extremely successful, and they're renting.
Right. My kids are all in their 20s, and they're like, Dad, how am I ever going to buy a house?
Yeah.
Right?
And it's absurd.
Right now is a great time to position yourself to avoid the avalanche. Why? Because Jim Cramer pretty much sets the top and the bottom of every asset class in the world as soon as he opens his mouth, including Bitcoin.
Robinhood reports people are starting to get unnerved by how closely aligned this stock is with the price of Bitcoin. Even after today's dramatic rebound, Bitcoin still feels like it's lost its luster. The precipitous decline of the cryptocurrency occurring at the same time as a weakening dollar calls into question whether it's a real storehold of value or even a hedge against inflation. We know nothing. This volatile thing we used to think it could be a currency. That's obviously not going to happen. It's a great speculative asset, I guess, until it started plummeting.
He's correlating Bitcoin to Robinhood. And like everyone else, they're correlating Bitcoin to tech stocks, which has a correlation to tech stocks of over 80%. But Bitcoin isn't a tech stock. It's hard money. It's sound money. It can't be forged or created. And even Peter Schiff gets this right. He just has the asset class wrong.
What that shows you is that the gain in the stock market is inflation. It's not real value that's been created in the market. We've just destroyed the value of the currency that we use to price things in.
Right.
And so you need more dollars to buy stocks, but you don't need more gold. You could buy stocks with a lot less gold because gold is real money. Government can't just create gold. They can't create inflation and create gold out of thin air like they do Federal Reserve notes, paper dollars.
Reason number 2 to be bullish, the market is pricing in just 2 rate cuts between now and 2028 and just 50 basis points. I think that that's way too low, considering inflation is under control and the economy is just now starting to boom. This isn't a time to sell your Bitcoin. One of the ways that you can not sell your Bitcoin, but still benefit from your Bitcoin stack that you've accumulated is by working with a company like Ledn, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, which allows you to borrow against your Bitcoin without selling your Bitcoin. Borrow up to 50% loan to value of your Bitcoin and get that fiat in your account in less than 6 hours. The application takes just 2 minutes and the process is simple, fast, and transparent. That's why they have over 1,000 five-star customer reviews. You can always see your Bitcoin in the cold storage wallet address in the platform at all times. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply to get started. You can also become a sovereign individual and avoid the avalanche by running your own node. But it's a little more difficult for people just getting into Bitcoin than you might think. And just like anyone getting into a new sport or a new thing, they get a coach. Work with the Bitcoin way. They will assign you a coach to teach you how to run a node, how to do it privately, securely, and to back up your keys so that you can become a sovereign individual. Schedule a free meeting with the team at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin.
There is the loss of confidence in the reserve currency, which drives people to see alternative storeholds of wealth. So, for example, when there's a debt issue, there are two ways of dealing with debt. There's hard money, traditionally backed by gold. And when that happened, then there was breakdowns in that monetary system, the valuation. So for example, classically, March 1933, Roosevelt, with the debt problem, was forced to go off the gold standard, printed a lot of money, devalued the dollar, and then it moved on. In 1971, we had the same. Nixon did the same thing, went off the gold standard, and devalued, and so on. And the creation of a lot of debt and money means that money goes someplace else, and it traditionally, both of those cases, it went into stocks, gold, and other places. So money is always the holders of money, which are the holders of bonds. Bonds are a promise to receive money, a lot of money over a period of time. It's a very long money position. And when those become unattractive, such as now, let's say, you get zero interest rate or close to zero interest rate or even a negative interest rate, and there's a lot of creation of debt and a lot of printing of money, that drives that into other assets. They may not be another currency if there's not a good currency. They may be stocks, they may be gold, and they may be another currency. But it is that kind of time that we're in. So next year and the year after, no matter what, we're going to have large deficits. We are going to produce a lot of debt, and we will monetize that debt, and that debt will have a negative real return, and therefore people will borrow in it, will find it more advantageous to borrow in it than own it, and then they will move to other assets.
All right, Uncle Ray tells us exactly what happens at the late stages of every game and how people move out of currencies and into hard assets. And although I'm not an investor into strategy or MicroStrategy, I do believe that the loss of my net worth in my Bitcoin position from 126K to 69K is just a paper loss. I still own more Bitcoin per my net worth every single time that I buy. And that's the approach that we should take.
What would have to happen for you to stop accumulating? I mean, you still continue to have enough cash to accumulate all of this Bitcoin each and every time that there appears to be a slight dip.
So you believe in that long term, right? Now, I get the short term can be volatile, right? Like 1 year is a very short time horizon. You believe in that long term, we keep buying Bitcoin. Anybody can buy our stock, right? We're one of the top 20 most liquid stocks in the NASDAQ, right? And there's a reason for that liquidity is people believe that Bitcoin is volatile, MSTR is volatile. So some believe in Bitcoin long term. Some are trading on the volatility in the short term. I have no problem with that, right? Now, what about our short-term paper losses? They're paper losses, right? It's not a cash loss, right? It's not even a Bitcoin loss. It's not like we have less Bitcoin. And again, you have to look at Bitcoin per share. Are we accreting Bitcoin per share? That's the most important KPI that we run with. That's how we make our short-term decisions. And more Bitcoin per share means more Bitcoin. The only thing better than Bitcoin is more Bitcoin.
If you don't believe in Bitcoin, what's your alternative? Do you want to lock your money up with Step, the new bank that was just purchased by Mr. Beast, the guy that launched Lunchly to try to replace Lunchables? The YouTuber? Hey, no shade to guys who do YouTube. Do you want to trust your financial future to Google, who's now issuing 100-year bonds and 100-year debt? Just like Austria, and we saw how that turned out. Lock your money up for 100 years with a tech giant that wants to steal all of your information and sell ads back to you to enslave you. Do you want to invest your money in central banks or the government? Which, on Tucker Carlson, Uncle Ray Dalio and him just had a conversation about how central banks are going to issue digital currencies that will not allow you to have any privacy. They're going to monitor all your transactions. They're going to be able to tax you at will. And they're also going to be able to cut you off if you disagree with them. Or you can have sound money, hard money, digital money, money of the future that's outside of the system. Your call. One of the ways you can continue to stack Bitcoin and stack sats, grow your Bitcoin per share of your net worth, well, is to mine Bitcoin. Get sats sent directly to your wallet by buying a state-of-the-art mining machine with SAS Mining, the leaders in clean, renewable Bitcoin mining. You send in fiat, and they send you Bitcoin sats right to your wallet every single month. Get started with the QR code, and don't become a mining expert yourself. Outsource it to the people at SAS Mining. Use the QR code to get started today. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.